Well, pictures. NATO says the soldiers were on patrol on the Kosovo-Macedonia border when they were caught. But Yugoslavia's deputy prime minister says they were actually in Serb territory. CTV's Tobias Fisher has more.
It's a picture that's sure to send shivers through official Washington. 3 captured American soldiers shown on Yugoslav television. The soldiers are part of a NATO peacekeeping force guarding the border between Macedonia and Kosovo.
They were on a routine vehicle patrol in fairly rugged terrain near Kumanovo when they reported that they had come under fire.
The Serbs say the soldiers were discovered deep inside Serb territory and that they resisted arrest. NATO says they were abducted. The bloody and bruised face of one GI prompted NATO's commander to warn the Serbs to treat them humanely.
We've all seen their pictures. We don't like it. We don't like the way they're treated, and we have a long memory about these kinds of things.
Meanwhile, NATO's air campaign intensifies. Here, a laser-guided bomb takes out a bridge spanning the Danube River at Novi Sad. NATO insists it is concentrating on military targets, but the city's water supply was also damaged.
We've taken every possible measure to avoid collateral damage and injuries to innocent Serb civilians.
But the bombing has failed to stop the exodus of Kosovo's Albanians. NATO claims Serb tanks and artillery are now attacking unarmed civilians in central Kosovo.
Man does not do this to his fellow man. We are all in uniform outraged at the sight of this. This is not something uniformed military soldiers do to civilians.
NATO Secretary General has hinted that ground troops may be necessary to stop the ethnic cleansing in Kosovo. But the Americans insist that is not under consideration, that the bombing campaign will eventually force the Serbs to back down. Tobias Fisher, CTV News, Washington.
Meanwhile, this morning, the Yugoslavia Prime Minister said the 3 American captives will be well treated and their families shouldn't worry.
I would like to tell you, no doubt, about the fact 3 American soldiers were captured deeply in Serbian territory. This is the first. Second, I would like to tell you they would be treated of the best human way. Third, I'm sending, all the wishes, all the best wishes to the families. I'm sending regards to the families of captured soldiers. And they must know, for Serbs, captured enemy is not enemy. And they have no any reason to be worried about them.
Meanwhile, the refugees are streaming out of Kosovo by the thousands. They're leaving by foot, train, truck, bus, any way they can. This is the biggest exodus since the Second World War. The line of traffic waiting to leave Kosovo now begins 9 kilometers from the Albanian border. There is a delay because Albania is now logging names of all refugees. The United Nations is now considering an airlift similar to the one used in the Bosnian War to help the refugees.
You're watching CFCN News, Calgary.
A traditional ceremony marked the official establishment of Canada's newest and largest territory this morning.
Nunavut encompasses much of the eastern Arctic in all 1,009,000 kilometers, which equals about 20% of Canada's total area. Its capital is Iqaluit. Today's ceremony included traditional dancing and singing and speeches from dignitaries. Prime Minister Jean Chrétien took part in the official signing ceremony that marked the foundation of the new territory. He spoke of his pride at being able to work with the Inuit people to create a viable new territory. Nunavut's new Premier, Paul O'Callagh, says it was a long road to this new future for the Aboriginal people in Canada's north.
Today, the people of Nunavut formally joined Canada. We are proud of this achievement, for we in Canada have demonstrated to the world that what we can accomplish through hard work and patience, a considerable amount as a people.
It is a time that is still so close to my heart, and words cannot fully express my pleasure at being Prime Minister on the day when that dream comes true.
Aboriginal people from as far away as Australia and Japan have traveled to Nunavut for the celebrations. About 28,000 people live in Canada's newest territory. The design of the Nunavut flag has not yet been.
Southeast Calgary. The blaze broke out at about 7, shortly after a thick plume of black smoke could be seen across the city. The center was originally a mission school and then a Catholic convent. The cause of the fire is under investigation.
NATO confirms the Serbs have captured and beaten 3 American soldiers. NATO says the 3 were on patrol in Macedonia when they were suddenly surrounded by Serb troops. The Serbs showed pictures of the 3 men on television last night. NATO is warning Yugoslavia to treat the soldiers properly or else.
Tragic end to a piece of Calgary history.
The first on the scene and captured the drama on tape as the flames consumed the building. The huge old structure is located just east of McLeod Trail on 146th Avenue and Bannister Road. And that's where Jeff Little is now, and he joins us at the scene. Jeff, have investigators found out a cause yet?
No, Barb, at this point they haven't. Arson investigators were here just a few hours ago, but they've decided to call it a night. This building has been deemed obviously very unsafe. There's still the odd hotspot that is bursting up, and in fact, they're going to demolish this building. So by this time tomorrow night, there'll be nothing left but the memories. It's a blaze that took 4 hours to get under control and billowed smoke that could be seen from the other side of the city. There were no smoke detectors and no sprinklers. And by the time firefighters arrived at the Father Lacombe Center, it was fully engulfed in flames. A provincial historical site, a city landmark. The 90-year-old Lacombe Center had served the city in a number of capacities, once as the largest orphanage in southern Alberta. The Lacombe Center had been vacant for years and had become a favorite for squatters. This man was the building's caretaker. He blames vandals for the fire and for his broken heart.
We lost enormous amount of history. We lost a beautiful chapel in there. Just one of the nicest chapels you could find in Calgary.
The building is located hundreds of meters away from the nearest water hydrant, and another delay occurred because of a mechanical malfunction.
It's only made of brass, it broke.
By the time water was available, firefighters could only hope to control the blaze, making sure it didn't spread.
With the lack of water, basically what they had to do was look after the one part of the building. One wing of the building was a total loss, so they had to protect the exposures. We also had a tanker and a bush buggy on the north side of it. Fish Creek Park is just immediately north of the building. We had a few grass fires over there as well.
For people who worked here and people who grew up here, it's a sad day for the city's history.
Because of the history of how it's been here as long as it has, you can't replace that anymore. Yeah, it is a sad day. Very, very sad day.
Little by little, the history is destroyed. My past disappears. I'm very sorry to see it go.
Jeff, I understand a lot of people are stopping by there tonight.
Well, that's right, Barb, and even this morning, traffic on McLeod Trail was coming to a virtual standstill. It was obviously a very impressive sight, but tonight we've seen families, we've seen young people, we've seen older people who have come by. Just a couple that walked by a couple of minutes ago, I asked them why they had come, and they said that for the past 17 years, they looked out their kitchen window, and this is what they saw. It reminds them of the old times, and a lot of people feel that very same way, coming by, taking a couple of pictures, and as I said before, by this time tomorrow night, they won't be able to do that.
Now, as we mentioned, the building had been empty for some time, but there were future plans for the site. Tell us about those.
Well, that's right, Barb. On the north side of the building, the annex was made vacant about a month or two ago. The Catholic Church has big plans for this site. It's going to be a future college, and Shelley McCrugan has more on that.
Father Lacombe Centre is little more than a pile of rubble after a massive fire destroyed a part of Alberta's history. It may also have claimed a piece of Calgary's future.
Terrible shock, yes.
Greg Flanagan is the Dean of Studies for St. Mary's College. Plans for moving the campus from its current location near Elbow Drive to the massive buildings and land surrounding Father Lacombe Centre are well underway. The historic building was going to be the focal point of the new campus.
The short-term plan was to get on the site and have the facilities from 3 to 5 years, and then start working on this building where it would be a central building to the campus for the college.
In the long term, the college planned to restore the centre. But now, Flanagan's not sure what's going to happen.
I don't know yet how this will impact on us moving here July 1, because we weren't going to move into that building in the short term. Long term, obviously, we can't start working on this building until we assess the damage, know what we can save from the building, and then where we go from there.
Father Lacombe Centre was built in 1910 by Father Albert Lacombe. It served as an orphanage, boarding school, and a home for the elderly. It was a project close to Father Lacombe's heart, and he made it his home until his death in 1916.
The next 2 floors, the third and the second floor, was the chapel. And
Sister Pat Nadarosny knows the centre well. It was her home for 4 years. She came here as a teenager in 1946 to attend boarding school.
It's a home burnt down. It's heritage. It's a lot of emotion, because all our sisters were there.
Sister Pat says she has wonderful memories of the centre, memories that will live on in the hearts of those who pass through its doors. Shelley McCrugan, CFCN News.
The classrooms were going to be in a separate building, as were the administration offices. And as of right now, plans for those to be functional this fall seem on track. As for the Father Lacombe Centre, Flanagan says if it can't be saved, he would like to build a similar building on the same site and save what he can from the burnt-out structure. Well, there was yet another grass fire today on Nose Hill. The fire scorched an area about the size of a football field over the noon hour. Once crews got control, they used their bush buggies to douse hot spots. The fire department reminds us conditions are still extremely dry. A little over a week ago, another grass fire on Nose Hill burnt about 250 acres.
I'm David Spitz, the CFCN Weather Center. Well, we still need some moisture to get rid of this grass fire problem, but we still don't have any significant moisture in the forecast. There's a shot looking west with the CFCN Skyview camera. Some high, thin cloud, not the kind that will produce any precipitation. In fact, the cloud should disappear tonight. -12, it'll be chilly. Tomorrow it'll be warm with sunshine and -10. We'll have a forecast for the rest of the Easter weekend coming up later in the program.
The Serbs say the soldiers were bruised while being taken prisoner.
The marks you saw on the soldier is because he was a brave soldier. He didn't want to surrender. That's all. It's simple as that.
Reports out of Belgrade say the 3 will go on trial for spying tomorrow, prompting this warning from President Clinton.
President Milosevic should make no mistake. We will hold him and his government responsible for their safety and for their well-being.
Serbian TV also showed Milosevic meeting with moderate Kosovo-Albanian leader Ibrahim Rugova and quoted him as calling for an end to the bombing and a peaceful settlement of the crisis. The Americans are skeptical Rugova was acting of his own free will.
We'd like to know that he and his family have freedom of movement, and at that time we will be in a position to assess what his statements are and his views are.
The Vatican sent a diplomatic envoy to Belgrade, and Russian leader Boris Yeltsin is calling for a meeting with the G8 group of countries. But threats to try the 3 American soldiers for spying has only hardened American and NATO resolve to take a hard line with the Belgrade regime. Mark Sickstrom, CTV News, Washington.
Poor weather kept Canadian jets out of action today, but the 6 additional planes Canada is sending into battle have arrived in Italy. 4 more will arrive in the next few days, bringing to 12 the number of Canadian jets involved in the bombing.
Refugees continue to pour out of Kosovo. They're going to Albania and Macedonia. Mike Lee of ABC News has that story.
They are brought in the morning to the train station in Kosovo's capital. Thousands of ethnic Albanians forced from their homes, unarmed, helpless, and frightened. They are being jammed into the trains and told they are leaving the country. One of today's train passengers gives this terrifying account of what happened.
It was very cold, and all around us there were a lot of policemen. They were shouting all around us. We were very, very scared. And then in 2 o'clock we were in the train. So many people, it was difficult to survive, very difficult. I thought I saw the death with my eyes.
Hours later, the train arrives near the border with Macedonia. The refugees have to get off and walk across the frontier. They are told there may be landmines on both sides of the track, so they form a single line, a slow and nerve-wracking final 2 miles. They help one another the best they can. The emotions come pouring out, and so do the stories. There have been massacres, he says. All these people have seen houses being burned. They burned them to the ground. Escape was our only option. Some have arrived with injuries, and some pregnant women have been on the trains and on the long walk. Some are separated from loved ones. Many here have lost all they own. Mike Lee, ABC News, at the Macedonian border with Kosovo.
Back at home in Canada, our country has now become even more diverse, welcoming Inuit people into the fold. Nunavut is now Canada's newest and largest territory. Nunavut encompasses much of the eastern Arctic, in all 1,900,000 kilometers, which equals about 20% of Canada's total area. Its capital is Iqaluit. Today's ceremony included traditional dancing and singing and speeches from dignitaries. Prime Minister Jean Chrétien took part in the official signing ceremony. He spoke of his pride at being able to work with the Inuit people. Nunavut's new Premier, Paul O'Callagh, says for the Aboriginal people, it was a long road to this new future.
Today, the people of Nunavut formally joined Canada. We're proud of this achievement, for we in Canada have demonstrated to the world that what we can accomplish through hard work and patience, a considerable amount as a people.
It is a time that is still so close to my heart, and words cannot fully express my pleasure at being Prime Minister on the day when that dream comes true.
Aboriginal people from as far away as Australia and Japan are in Nunavut for the celebrations. People from...
What you mean I ain't got nothing to worry about?
Not going anywhere for a while?
Everybody's waiting. You're hesitating. They can just find somebody else.
Grab a Snickers, because nothing handles your hunger better.
Come on out of there.
Hungry? Why wait?
Tomorrow on Springer, there's just one thing standing in the way of Billy and Chris's wedding plans.
His soon-to-be ex-wife. You said I do. It's not I do everybody else. It's I do my wife.
A cheater tries to rid himself of the old ball and chain.
You asked, Sarah, you asked.
This love triangle turns into a cross-dressing cat fight.
If he's cheating on her with me, he'll do it with somebody else.
Before we marry, I have a confession.
This is my life. This is what I do, woman.
Tomorrow on Springer.